Welcome to the cafe. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you and your animal friends. Here we are at the cafe, outside listening to the parade. Listening and watching the parade go by. You can see all the animals are here, excited to be with you on this wonderful Memorial Day weekend. It's also a somber time, a somber celebration. So we are here. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness. Don't you love it when things happen? You don't even know what's happening. I love it. You'll just never know at home. My computer's just going all over the place, but you don't know that. So we're having just some fun and really good food, good company, good beverages. So why don't you pull up a chair, or maybe you might want to join me inside. So coming in, stay outside, whatever you like, and just be here for a little bit for this very, very special celebration and remembrance of all those that served. So this weekend is about parades, family, celebrations, and the most important part that a lot of people forget is remembering. And of course, remembering the animals that also served and gave their lives. So that's what I always like to do, is remind people it's not just the humans. That's important. But there were many, many, many animals that served alongside the humans, with the humans, we humans, and gave their lives as well. So today is about remembering them, but also about celebrating them, right? Yeah. So that said, coming up, we're going to be remembering all the animals, as I mentioned, that served in a little Memorial Day service. So I'm going to do a little teeny tiny, really, really short little service, just something really nice to remember the animals. And then we're going to visit some of the memorials all over this country that are for animals. Did you know that there's memorials in almost now? I mean, it's really wonderful. It didn't used to be, but memorials all over this country and also in different places of the world. So we're going to visit some of those. And then we're going to meet some special animal heroes and hear their stories, because they're pretty amazing. I mean, I've learned a lot over the years about the animals that have served and their stories. Just really pretty amazing. And please stick around, because we're going to be celebrating a very special birthday. You have to stick around for that. But first, as I always do, is welcome anybody that's new. If you're new to the Animal Lovers Cafe, please write new in the comments so I can personally welcome you, and also so all the other members of the cafe can welcome you. And it's just, we have just such a beautiful little community here in the Animal Lovers Cafe, and everybody is so kind and wonderful. And of course, we have something in common with each other. We all love animals. And if you're new, you don't know me. Well, you do now. My name is Janet Dobbs of Animal Paradise Communication and Healing, where my greatest joy, well, many joys, but one of my greatest joys is to help you discover your unique way of telepathically communicating with animals and healing with animals. So welcome to the cafe. Oh, our very, very special Memorial Day celebration and remembrance. It's a really special holiday. So we're here celebrating all the animals and you, just having the best time. So glad that you're here. Oh, gosh. So I'd love to just begin right off just talking about Memorial Day, never forgetting. And it's not just not forgetting the humans that served, but we're here in the Animal Lovers Cafe to remember the animals that have also served. It's just really very wonderful. So I'm so happy you're here. And of course, there's parades this weekend. The animals always take part of the parades. Do you dress your animals up for Memorial Day? Or probably you think of also 4th of July, but do you? These guys just really are having the best time. So I just love the different parades and the history of Memorial Day. So we're going to be talking about the history of Memorial Day, and we're going to be having a little bit of fun celebrating Memorial Day. Did you know that Memorial Day started during the Civil War? So there's a debate about actually when it first started, but a lot of people claim 1865-ish. What happened is different towns around the country, and the country at that time, 1865, it was not every state that is a state in this country now was a state. There were territories. But for the North and the South, the losses were so great. And usually the widows, because it was usually men that served, went to the graves, the cemeteries in their towns, and they started laying wreaths on the graves, remembering those that had died. And then this became a tradition every year to remember those that had served, those that had fallen, going to the cemeteries, putting wreaths, and then it evolved into what it is now, which is, well, it's more than just wreaths, the flags that you see on lots of the graves. It's just a time to remember and thank those that served us. And yeah, that's the short version. So if you want to learn more about what Memorial Day really is, what it stands for, how it got started, just look it up on, Wikipedia or do a Google search or whatever, and you can really go into depth and get a really interesting history about how the first Memorial Day started and how it's evolved. Because you may or may not know, I do. I didn't realize it, but between 1865, I know the 1970 part, but between 1865 and 1970, did you know Memorial Day used to always be celebrated on May 30th? And then in 1970, somebody got the great idea to have it on a Monday, so we'd have a 3-day weekend. So it's always the last Monday in May now, Memorial Day. But official Memorial Day is May 30th. Just a little fun fact about Memorial Day. Yeah, so I have a special celebration and surprise because it's Memorial Day weekend and Max and Luna turned 6 this weekend. They were born on Memorial Day. So I just want to bring the vibration up a little bit here in the cafe. And if you join me in this beautiful, fun celebration of Max and Luna. Now, Max and Luna had a foster mom. And I think she worked at Fort Belvoir. I like the music. She worked at I think, anyhow, military, army. And she named all of the babies. All of Max and Luna had 2 other brothers, so there were 4 kids. And they were all named after military planes. What? So yes, this is Max. And he was named Hornet after this fighter jet. So this fighter jet is an FA-18 Super Hornet. So Max was named Hornet. But does he look like a hornet? I mean, to me, I think of Hornet. I don't think plane. I think bee. And he's Max. But that's how he got started on Memorial Day 6 years ago. And Luna was named Shadow. So Shadow, I guess there's several different planes that are shadows, but this one I think is probably the one she was named after. This is an MC-130P Combat Shadow. It's kind of cool looking, right? So Shadow is kind of a nice name, but Luna is what she liked. That's what she chose, Luna. But do you know the song, Moon Shadow? I'm being followed by a moon shadow. Cat Stevens, right? So I think of Luna and the moon and the shadow. But anyhow, that's how Max and Luna got their start. And I just want to wish them a very happy Memorial Day weekend birthday. So thank you for helping me celebrate the birthday of Max, and Luna. Oh, and Memorial Day. So just being in the holiday festive feeling. Let's just think about Memorial Day and what it means. You know, just for a moment. And I'd like to just kind of share with you about the poppies. Have you ever wondered about the story of the poppies? So I have a poppy right here that I've had for a long time. So the last one I have, it's from 2010, given to me by my best junior high school friend. Her mother was the American Legion has taken up the poppies, kind of represent. It's the American Legion that hands out, in their Ladies Auxiliary that hand out the poppies on Memorial Day weekend. And Memorial Day weekend poppies is about, so the poppies, there was a poem in World War I that you may or may not heard of called In Flanders Fields. So look it up and read it. I was going to, and it's like, I think I'd get a little too choked up. And I have a hard time with some of the words. Like, it's not my belief, I guess. But it's a beautiful, powerful poem. It's very emotional about those who served. And if you notice, this beautiful field of poppies, there is a man and a horse. So the story, I might get this wrong, so please write in the comments if I messed it up and you know a better story. But there's lots of stories. You can look it up again. Everything can be found in Dr. Google, right? But in Flanders Fields, that was World War I, and like many wars, especially the older ones, it was just hand-to-hand combat and bloody and horrible. And there were many, many bodies that fell and were buried right where they were. And evidently it changed the soil and poppies grew. And I guess it's still Flanders Fields. There are fields of poppies, and they're beautiful, but they say that the red poppies represent the blood that was given and sacrificed. So that's kind of the little story to remember about the poppies. And the tradition is still carried on to this day, the thought and the remembrance. But I just love how the man and the horse are together, because horses served throughout time in wars right alongside with their humans, right? So I'd like you to join me in a moment of silence to remember all the animals that have given their lives. And this is a little, it's a cemetery of German Shepherds or service dogs that gave their lives. So let's just take a moment and remember them. Thank you. Just remembering and thanking the animals for their service. And this is a memorial, so I'm going to take you on a little trip around the country. There are more and more memorials being erected in different places, not just in this country, but all over the world, to remember the animals, usually dogs and horses, but you're going to be so surprised at how many different animals have served So this is a war memorial in memory of dogs. And then this one, I believe, is at Quantico Marine Base in Virginia. And I love this picture of that memorial with the soldier and his dog. I just think that's so beautiful, so special. Another war dog memorial. And this one is kind of an evolution of the smaller memorials. This is huge. I don't have the best picture of it, but you can see a dog statue off in the distance and horse hooves in the cement, and then various plaques commemorating probably the different, maybe some of the different wars. And this is part of that memorial. And you see it's, down and dirty, dogs and horses and humans, and it wasn't pretty. War is not pretty. We glamorize it lots of times in some of the movies and everything, but I am so grateful that I've never had to be in a war. And then this is more of that beautiful memorial with the dog and the footprints in the cement. I just love how this has commemorated all of the animals. And then there are beautiful memorials to horses that have served. If you look closely, it's kind of hard to tell, but this statue or memorial is just the horse from kind of, I don't know what you call this part, forward. And then there's a soldier standing with his horse behind a real human. He looks, I'm not sure, so tell me if I'm wrong, either Canadian or British, I'm not sure. But another beautiful memorial in memory of the animals and the horses that have served. This one is in Richmond, Virginia. It was very controversial. It is to remember all of the horses in the Civil War. So obviously Richmond, Virginia would be the Confederacy, but also the Union Army. It was hard. It was horrible. It was devastating to both sides. And this is just a beautiful monument in memory for all of the horses. This is an absolutely stunning, amazing memorial that I would love to go see. It's in England, in Hyde Park in London. So many, many, many animals are represented here. So the mules and the horses carrying the heavy loads on their backs. You can maybe make out the elephants in the wall and the camels, and birds. And there's this opening. You can see the elephant a little better here. The opening where the animals walk through, and on the other side, they come out, the dogs and the horses, they come out and they are free. I think that's so beautiful. So this is our little tour of some of the memorials that are all over the country, all over the world, commemorating and remembering all the animals that have served and given their lives. So we just, thank them, and we will not forget them. We will not forget them. Yeah. Yeah. And so now I'd like to take you on a little journey through history of all the different animals and some of the things that they did to serve with the humans. I mean, I'm going to just scratch the surface. There's so many things that they have done, right, standing right beside or not right beside we humans. So this is from, let me see, the Civil War. Sorry. So back then, the Civil War, photography was brand new. So to have pictures, this is like one of the first photographed wars in history. And this dog, as you can see, is a little Red Cross bringing supplies to this nurse to help this soldier. He's standing right with the soldier. And did you know that the Red Cross got started during the Civil War. Clara Barton, I believe. So I think this is just a beautiful photograph of a dog helping, doing his duty. And this is also the Civil War. And I think this is a baboon, but he was really, really well known, and he was kind of an ambassador. And then there were carrier pigeons, but carrier pigeons have been around for forever. And they usually carried messages, flew messages, that were tied to their feet. But look closely, there's a camera. So we're talking World War I. I'm pretty sure this is World War I. And they had a camera attached. Isn't that pretty ingenious? And here they are, as obviously World War I, letting the carrier pigeon go to take its message or do its job. Maybe it's surveying with, maybe this is like the first drone, right? And then so many jobs that the animals had. This mule carrying like wagon wheels and probably ammunition onto the battlefield. In World War I, it may or may not be, I'm not sure my history very well as far as military and war, but gas was used. And so the animals, I think this is so beautiful that the animals, and you'll see some others, were fitted with gas masks to save them too. So these dogs, it's kind of funny looking, right? Very strange looking, looks kind of alien. But these dogs, these are the, the first gas mask, or some of the first gas masks. And then, of course, these dogs are not just carrying first aid supplies, but maybe messages, important messages, maybe other kinds of supplies. And they just ran from one place to another. They knew how to get there without somebody. They just, okay, here I go. This is the famous Sergeant Stubbs of World War I. He was in the Army, and he was the first dog to be given a rank in U.S. history. So Sergeant Stubby, you might want to look him up because quite the character. He had a fan club, and he served and did so many amazing things. Otherwise, he would not have gotten a rank. So Sergeant Stubby, World War I. There were goats. It's usually the Army mascot. I think this was in Europe. Elephants, not in America, but elephants also have served in battles. Here's a horse with a gas mask. And then being fitted and ready to carry supplies. Again, at World War I. Now on to World War II. The animals didn't always serve as, with military jobs. Sometimes they were companions to the soldiers. But also companions and serving alongside of them. And then this is a dog. This is World War II. And a German tank. And this dog sacrificed his life to save many of us. And then I just think this is just amazing that, how they get these animals onto the ships to get them to wherever they're going. Pretty scary stuff. I remember my dad telling me when he was coming back from, World War II, coming back home from Europe, and something happened to their ship mid-Atlantic. They're coming home. Yay, can't wait to get home. And they had to change ships in the middle of the ocean. It was really rough seas, and a lot of people didn't make it. They had to go across a little wooden plank, and a lot of people fell off, didn't make it. Dad almost did, but he made it somehow. But I think about, what not just the humans, but the animals went through. It's just pretty amazing how they do all that they do. But, and then this, I love this horse. This is Sergeant Reckless. He was a Marine, and he served in the Korean War. I'm sorry, I said he. It's a she. Her stories are absolutely amazing. She is highly decorated, and she would, obviously you can see that she has supplies on her back. She would carry like big pieces of, cannons and ammunition. The first time she went in, and this big gun went off, she was like, "Wah!" Like any of us would be. And then the second time she's like, alrighty. She was so brilliant. They could just load her up and then send her into battle, and she'd get the supplies there. She'd run back, load up more, run back in all by herself. She ran so many missions. Unbelievable. She was evidently wounded 2 times, survived, sent back in. She served in the Marines from 1952 to 1960. She had 2 babies, and they adored her. This is Sergeant Reckless. Just an amazing horse that served with the humans. This is Nemo. Nemo is in the Air Force and is of the Vietnam era. And Nemo was one of the first canine units retired and returned to the U.S. So often they were never retired and they didn't get returned home. So this was, we thank Nemo for being the first of many to be returned home. And I just love This is Nemo. I so admire, the animals, the dogs that, they repel, like go off of bridges or whatever with their humans. It's just fascinating, So I have other stories to tell you about that, but I'll save them for another time. And then they also, porpoises or dolphins served. This one has a camera on its flipper. Okay, I don't agree with some of this stuff, but, and I don't know that they still do this, but it was, had to do with radar, sonar, the underwater kinds of military things. And now in more modern times, the dogs and their trainers. And then, of course, the deep love, companionship between the dog and the soldier serving together, the comfort that they give each other. The dog and this young soldier, they've experienced things together that nobody else will understand. They have each other. Isn't that beautiful? They have each other. So happy Memorial Day. That's our little trip. It's our little trip around the animals that served. And I just want to thank you for sharing this time with me and learning and about them and remembering and never forgetting. And we're celebrating, okay, that was abrupt, but we're celebrating Memorial Day, the joy and the fun, not just the remembrance, but remembering the animals, thanking them for being with us, right beside us, for all they do in our lives. I want to just thank them so much. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me and with the animals. And have the most wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day. Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for celebrating Maxine and his birthday. Have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day. Celebrating with your animals, with your family. Just have the best weekend. Remembering the animals. But enjoy being with your family and with your animals. And again, thank you for celebrating Max and Luna's birthday. I will see you Friday. Or I will see you when I see you. Take care. And here's a parade just for you.